So, basically, here we are in Capa, inside the municipality of Fatih, the center of Istanbul, the historic city of Istanbul. And this has been a pretty rough night, as you might have heard if you follow the news, and if you find yourself looking for something related to Turkey, you would know that. There has been an attempt at a coup, and, well, let's say it was rather dismaying. I'm not going to go into any kind of cheap political analysis, but in order to sum up from a very descriptive point of view, at first we were incredulous. We heard that there were F-16 going over Ankara and Istanbul, and that the bridges had been closed, and then there were periscope images showing police and army personnel at odds in the vicinity of one of the bridges across the Bosphorus. The police was obviously trying to keep it open. The army were blocking them. So we started to feel that there was really something going on. Over the course of 10-15 minutes, after 10-15 minutes of hearing the first news, well, on the one hand, there were clear reports of an attempt at a coup. On the other hand, there was something strange because the internet was working, and we heard that the Prime Minister was making statements. Now, what kind of a coup is that? I mean, there was really something strange, lack of professionalism or whatever, that was going on, because on the one hand the army was clearly taking over places, on the other it was not taking the institutions and the people who mattered. So quickly enough it appeared that the coup was being directed by people who had probably not very much planned this, who may have reacted to rumors or whatever, that would not prevent it from being possibly of very nefarious consequences. I mean, any coup is a rupture of the institutional order, and that leads to troubles. Okay, I'm being very talkative, but by 1 a.m., no, midnight, it was clear that there were the first reports of concentrations of population, concentrations of demonstrators trying to move to the bridge into the airport. There was the Turkish president making a statement through Skype, calling people to take to the street and resist the coup. And by 2:30 it was clearly a failure. In our neighborhood, nothing much happened, but basically, whatever events that would take place on the main road fares of the city. But one of the interesting things, and you hear maybe an echo of this right now, is that there were the calls from the mosques outside of prayer times. Basically, the muezzins of the mosques were calling people to take to the streets and protect the institutions too, which had probably much significance given the political history of the country. But I'm not going to develop on that. I leave that to analysts. Okay, so by 2:30 the coup was an obvious failure. People had gathered en masse by the bridges. They were somehow immobilizing and starting to actually molest soldiers on Taksim and by the airport. The situation was unclear in Ankara. At 3 a.m. it appeared that there had been shellings over the House of Parliament in Ankara, but this seemed like a last stand. Lastly, when we went to bed, we were tired. We were in no state to stay up. This was a bit nerve-wracking. By 5 a.m., we heard F-16s at flying at low level and going through the sound wall in typical fashion that's been used elsewhere. I've known the case to be very frequent with Israeli airplanes going over the airspace of Lebanon in the early 2000s. Using the sound wall to somehow scare people or just make your presence felt and intimidate them is about as old as supersonic air travel. Now, this was for the night. Since then, since the morning, well, there have been calls to demonstrations, especially for tonight by the presidency. There are lots of rumors going around, but by and large, the situation is calm. There are some people in the streets in our neighborhood. Elsewhere, the main thoroughfares of the cities are quite empty. You have an application that gives the situation of circulation on the main roads of the city, and it's largely green, except around the bridges, which are still a sensitive area. But by and large, people are staying at home. No one wants to come across a lost bullet, I guess. And also, well, probably people who want to demonstrate tonight are preparing themselves to make a show of force. That's, well, you know, politics. Well, that's as much as I can say without having gone out of these rooms for the last 16 or 18 hours, but being in contact and overhearing what's going on around. So this is just one point on the situation, and of course my suggestion is you should try and follow as many people reporting from Istanbul as possible. Bye bye.